Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters of the Week video. Well, I thought I would mix one of these in here, one of the last ones in fact, while I'm looking over your aliens and UFOs suggestions. In fact, there's one that stands out right away because of it having to do with Washington DC and an airport that I was at a couple of years back. So what a small world when it comes to that. So be on the lookout soon for those videos, and again, please keep posting your suggestions. This random entry has to do with a creature found there in Sweden, and apparently it's located in a specific lake, has been around for a long time, but even then there's still just a very small number of sightings associated with it. In fact, you probably consider it less than a handful, considering how little people have seen of it. But still, there was an expedition done in the 1980s to try to find its existence. More along that here in a minute, but it has to do with this. You're looking at the creature now. I hope I'm saying that correctly, and someone again, please correct me in the comments in case it's said a different way, but I think it's known as the Gryttie. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating information associated with this mythical creature. So what is this Gryttie? Well, it's a serpentine-like creature. In fact, I got lots of hints as far as it being a Loch Ness type creature that's found there in Sweden. Specifically, you have to go to this lake, and it's known as, oh boy, I hope I'm saying this correctly too, Gryttie-group. And if you go there to that lake specifically, then you'll have a good chance of seeing that there. Fingers crossed, hopefully, that kind of stuff. And that's because apparently since the 1800s, a long time, 200 plus years, it's been associated with that lake. That lake can apparently hide a lot of things because not only is it a very, very long lake, but it's also very deep. In fact, it's over 100 feet deep, and apparently there's some deep holes or even some caves associated with it that go down 300 feet or even further. This reminded me of the Godzilla King of the Monsters film, how Godzilla was essentially moving about certain parts of the planet because he was using some of those deep sea tunnels, and that way he was escaping things. So who knows, maybe this Gryttie Lake has something similar to it. It could hide a creature this large because it's essentially just using it as a temporary base. It's probably just traveling about other places in a very discreet manner. But again, as far as its appearance, it's very hard to tell because there's just been so few sightings. But the idea that it's considered a serpentine-like creature and the fact that it's considered very large, almost as large as like a sea serpent or a sea monster, gives you an idea again about its main characteristics. So just think of it like your average Loch Ness type monster, including a long body and then a long tail, if you could call it that, towards the end. Maybe even has some fins associated with it, or who knows, some tiny arms, something else that it uses to swim about, and then may also have other type of characteristics like large teeth and so on. And that's essentially what you might get with this Gryttie. It's just up in the air when it comes to its actual depiction. There's so many other interpretations of it, like you're seeing here, but at least that's the main context associated with this Gryttie. And then again, being there since the 1800s and around that area, it's probably hard to find it too, because this lake is located very, very deep between a forest located near two towns. One town is called Justal, I hope I'm saying that correctly too, and another one is called Hudiksvall. So again, I hope I'm saying that correctly as well. But if you go to those two towns and then probably just a little bit further in between those two towns, you'll find that forest, and then you'll find this lake associated with it there. And then pretty much the only attempt ever made to have some kind of expedition done, something to truly try to find out if there was something there, was back in 1985. There was a group that called themselves the Gryttie-group. They in turn decided to get together and then try to find something in the lake using sophisticated equipment. They had cameras, they had sonar scanning devices, and they put it on a little robot that they called Ladybird. I don't know if that was necessarily named, like, let's say after LBJ's wife, like Lyndon Baines Johnson's wife, or if it was just another form of characterization. But they were trying to use this type of equipment to see if if there could be anything found as far as this creature. Alas, there was nothing found. All the expedition did was just look about, but it didn't seem like they located any concrete evidence. Otherwise, we would have seen something along those lines today, something else that truly, would have presented something in terms of photographic evidence, video evidence, sonar evidence. You could definitely consider that as terms of evidence. But no, nothing involving the underwater cameras or anything else could find ever. But that's the closest that there's been to an actual attempt, but that still hasn't stopped people from seeing this particular creature out and about in those areas. I just imagine its local stance, like it being so isolated, definitely helps with concealing whatever this creature is. And who knows, it may actually have died out years ago, and that's why people still haven't seen it to this day, because maybe it was about during the 1800s, maybe during the 1900s, but every animal eventually dies, and such was the case with this creature, and maybe that could explain its long, desolate stance when it comes to people coming across it today. Now, as far as interpretations, other variations of it, there's this. There's the idea that it could actually be a sea cow. That's right, it could actually be one of these animals you're looking at here that live within the lake and is in turn misinterpreted as the Gryttie. I think it's kind of hard to discern this, mainly because considering the size variance, here you have a sea cow, which is basically the size of a cow itself, maybe a little bit larger, and then you have something like the Gryttie, which is a much, or considered a much larger creature, and I don't know how you could confuse the two with each other. The only possible link I could think of is this. There may be the possibility that from far away, like let's say somebody looking from the land, bordering the lake itself, and then here you have this thing right smack in the middle, but so far away, further away from the people themselves. Unless they have some strong binoculars, they'll be seeing this thing from far away and then misinterpreting it as being much, much larger. I wish there was I forget what the term is, but there was a study done about it, and it had to do actually with creatures. Like there was a study about people running by, using a car, in other words, to drive by an area really, really quick. And the study was a cutout of an owl, and the cutout was just sitting in the middle of the field, and people weren't told about it. And then all of a sudden, when they saw this creepy-looking cutout of an owl as they drove by really fast past the field itself, they were later asked to give an estimate of how large this owl was, and of course they gave huge variations. Like they started stating that it was much, much larger than it really was, but that's again because it was so far away and they only had a brief moment to look at it. So I'm wondering if that's the same case here. Here they would have this sea cow that could be going about in the middle of the lake, only seen for just a couple of seconds, but that's how it turns all of a sudden into a huge mythical monster. So just my own opinion when it comes to that, but just wanted to give that example too. But if anybody has any more information, anything else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. How about those of you that live there close to that lake, that Gryttie-group there in Sweden? If anyone is able to go there anytime soon and want to post their experience, then please do so. Or if you happen to have lived there, family members live there, stuff along those lines, and you have more generational tales, then that'd be really, really great to hear too. So, all right, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.